Chapter 13. Talk is cheap, deflection is cheaper. I have always been competitive and will find a way to make anything a challenge. I love the endorphins that rush through me when winning is on the line. Usually, the challenge is in good fun, but look how it elevates the simplest things. Winning and being competitive isn't enough, though. You must see if your idea of winning is actually helping the people you lead win. I found over my years of leading and coaching that no one really likes to lose. The reason it continues to happen is because they don't have the desire and the will to win. You want to win. Winning is amazing, but a true desire and will to win means you understand the value of learning and growing and being coachable and mentored. You must realize that what you are doing isn't working. You can change the outcome, but you must admit where your shortcomings are and improve yourself and those around you. So many miss this simple behavior because they are too stubborn to take a step back and realize they are only fighting themselves. I was once driving down the interstate and a semi was on the rumble strips for miles, never appeared to flinch or budge from them, in a trance as if he was asleep in bed and the alarm clock was ringing out of control but never heard it. I finally went beside him and held on the horn to break the dead zone and snap him out of it. Awkward situation, but your conscience knows you can't just hope he doesn't hurt himself or someone else, so you gotta try. How many of you are blind to your own complacency and bad habits? We've convinced ourselves we are doing everything right, but to everyone around, it's completely obvious that you are still running hard on the rumble strips. One of the hardest parts is learning to shift your focus and energy into keeping you a great mental place. You set the goal and you're doing it. Then life happens. You get tired, feel sick, injuries, overwhelmed with kids, stressed about work, your home needs repairs, yet you still find yourself pushing through to get back on track. It can be defeating having all of those real-life issues pile up, but everyone will go through those things, but not everyone will face them with the same determination to get through them. Life has a funny way of happening right as you gain momentum. The lesson learned is how you respond because not every situation can be handled with a smile or with a positive attitude. There are still bills to pay and mouths to feed, so how do you carry the weight this time? You've survived plenty of times where it got the best of you, but what will be different this time? How do you not succumb to the pressure to chalk it up as this is just how life goes and find yourself settling for suffering and surviving? The problem is this emotional throttling takes a toll on you, and you must find a way to not feel like you're lost in the desert wandering. Remember, it's okay to be in this position. Not every waking minute is spent being overly excited about what you will be and have one day. Days spent beating yourself up is not freedom either. Channel it and use your meditation to bring you back into focus. No different than using the priciest and highest grade pair of binoculars that are out of focus. They are useless when out of focus and the vision is blurry. Focus and adjust to your responses. With age comes privilege. My brother-in-law used to say it all the time when we were coaching youth tackle football. Everyone wanted to play, but our first job was to protect the kids and secondly, to help them understand the difference in age groups. We can't control what the other side does, so we must make sure they have proper techniques before going into battle. With age does come privilege in all things. This doesn't mean you don't deserve it. You just have to respect the value in experiencing life. What you can boldly and confidently do at 40, you could never pull off at 30. You are faster, stronger, wiser, more stable, and your experiences have built a level of maturity that you didn't have before. People appreciate age because they know you've gone through some things. The flip side is that 20 or 30 years old, you come in with an open mind, as opposed to the 50-year-old who closes it and doesn't take as many risks. The difference in age is nature's way of showing you how evolving your leadership growth can continue peaking to your last breath on this earth. We have this unwritten rule of law that we know is true because we seek it, and even though one day it will be at the end of our life, we still pursue this unknown world looking for it. As you take a step back, though, how are you going to take care of yourself and your family if you are unstable? If you wake up each day with regret or exhaustion from the idea of having to do it again, then how can you be worth anything to those around you? Responsibility is great because it judges those on how they handle it. You can't keep saying from your leadership role that the world is chaos, so I guess there's nothing I can do about it, especially when you're in a position to change it. I had a guy in management position one time that no matter what happened, he blamed the events of the past few years since he took over. Even though he had the control and the authority of the department, it was bigger than he could handle, so accepting survival and hoping it would work out became the business model. Subsequently, this style of leadership, which lacked vision, strategy, and follow-through, spread through his staff and employees in a very negative way. The few strong leaders left in this environment fought like a kid in a store who just got told no to having candy. Right or wrong, they fought for what they believed to be the best way to keep the department moving and together. Like most broken homes or companies, this method can only last so long before it begins to turn on itself. It creates an unhealthy environment and one that demoralizes leadership rather than empower it, thus further proving that talk is cheap and deflection is cheaper. In retrospect, life itself is a losing game because we can't take it with us when we die. Work and our life responsibilities are no different. You will never be perfect or be able to fix every issue. Lesson learned: we solve world hunger today and everyone is hungry again tomorrow. Have a never stop work mentality because the fight never stops. The idea is to understand that chaos will always be there, so focus on you, your family, your team, and evaluate your knowledge and ability to resolve issues and lead people to have value in your life. The point also being, if you can't ever ease your mind, how do you stand a chance to ease someone else's around you, especially if they're the ones you love, need, or depend on? We know talk is cheap, which is why we can guess what people love to do: talk. Anything to deflect from their broken lives or to brag about how important they are, completely oblivious that no one really cares. Talk is cheap, but I found that if you do not allow the environment to thrive on drama, then it will cease to exist. There will, however, be a lot of damage control for the one who must clean it up. Changing your environment can be exhausting, overwhelming, and feel that it's so far away that it's not worth it. Fall back on consistency, structure around processes, behavior control, and visionary plans that you can attach to. Make plans followed with action items and deadlines to achieve them, and face adversity as if the life of the department, the company, your household, your friendship, your relationships all depend on it. Sense of urgency with controlled steps to shift the chaotic minority to the tenured majority. People want to feel like their voice matters. Most realize they are not in the position of authority, but want to help, so they create good ideas, but guess what? They are never asked. Neglect them over a period of time and you've lost them. They are gone believing their viewpoint is not relevant. This quickly turns into, if you don't care, then why should I? This could also be shifting your energy when you get home. Collectively call out bad energy and force positive approaches or even conversations that end in healthy outcomes. Success isn't measured by everyone leaving the room in agreement or all of their needs being met. Success is measured by the small wins while maintaining a healthy respect for the environment you're in and keep a vision to keep moving forward. It's sticking to keeping a mutual respect for each other and driving forward to what's best for the situation in its entirety. Meaning, decisions made for today may be great, but turn out to be detrimental for tomorrow. Understand the big picture to know how you should handle it today. If you look at a problem as this big, then it will continue to stay that big. You must trust that every day taking small pieces away from it will then in return fix it one day. What piece of this big problem can we go after that will ultimately gain momentum and start chipping away at the others? I used to get angry when I would reflect on my life because I knew I wasn't where I wanted to be, but when I would think about each stage, there is so much that has happened to refine me that I can't deny what I've gained. I literally started with nothing, on my own at 17, and had to overcome some demons, so I had to set a goal right away. But I didn't respect the process at the time. I had to get myself checked before I could handle this responsibility, especially if I was going to learn how to balance my priorities and then teach it to others. That maturity and experience put me on a whole new level. When I walk in a room, I don't need to measure myself to others. This is the level of growth you want to achieve, but again, remember, it takes years of refining to naturally have this. So, what marks each of us for our last day on earth? Who knows? But we are here now, so why should we worry about it? This doesn't mean live consequence-free, but live as if the day is granted to those who respect life and want life. Think of your growth in stages so that you can have goals that fit where you want to be in that phase of life. Think about where you will be at 20 years old. What about 40 years or even 60 years old? Did you do what your heart led you to do, or do you have regrets? If no regret, Are you replaying your life story movie with alternate endings over and over in your mind? It doesn't matter where you are in life. If you don't use your time to intentionally push you to thrive, then you are just existing. Don't just exist, and use your time to survive. Intentionally use it to accelerate you through to thriving. For someone who is comfortable and content with their situation and wants to ride it out, great, carry on. But this message is for big believers and high achievers. This is for the ones who see it day in and day out, but are not sure how to get there. The ones who call themselves to action and not call on someone else. Don't just talk or deflect. Dig and define it so destiny can be divine. Have self-control and fight the temptations of this world that we know are not good for us. Patience and perseverance when things are tough or can't be fixed with just your voice. Do you have the fortitude to see development through, even with others, when it seems hopeless? No matter what, the process requires certain steps along the way, and not everyone is built for the life of leadership, especially when the bar has been raised. It requires a mutual agreement and respect from both parties in order for leadership to work. Are you honest with yourself and those around you, and does it show in your work ethic? We usually create what we live in today. We tend to always focus on the things in our life that hurt us, frustrated us, or disappointed us, but glory comes from what we do with it. What we do, what we create, is what we live in today, and it usually is from a series of bad decisions or ones made off of impulse instead of determination to break the mold. As a child, we are intrigued, curious, free from judgment. Young adults are free and wild but start realizing their insecurities. As adults, we become confused and start fighting life. Life then leads to seeking our own definition of happiness. Finally, as elders, we try to find the value in everything we've done in our life. Health declines. We are buried and hope our memory goes on forever. We don't have to look at life, though, as pointless or empty. If we enjoy the journey and take the time to be thankful for what we are given each day, it will find its reward. Too many times we miss a younger version of ourselves because we are faced with so much in front of us. We yearn for that exciting time when we had less responsibility. Did we let the pressure to be successful or build our family get to us? Did we allow the pressure of society or work to consume us and forget to enjoy it? When you look back, you may wish it could have been different, but remember, it's never too late. You're reading and hearing this now, so again, if not today, then probably not tomorrow. There will always be a reason to just take it easy or take a day off, but if you're not going to be where you want to be at this point in your life, then no days off. We all need rest and need to turn our mind off to keep ourselves focused. Start making time during the day or throughout your week instead of going so hard and then you fall off because you rode that crazy roller coaster for too long. Way too much energy spent when you should have been maintaining stability during the ride. Find meditation as a gateway to freeing your spirit and finding true peace. During your day, at least 2 or 3 times, find a way to meditate and release your anxieties. This only has to be a minute, but this practice will keep you in a stronger mental state and help you experience freedom. Bottled up anxiety and stress are never refreshing when opened later. We seldom realize we have had what it takes the whole time, and it's just waiting on the next move from us. The question becomes, can you sacrifice long enough and make the next move the right move? Can you move, but is it pushing you in the right direction? Is it the thrill for the kill of the moment or a strategic move that may not make sense or have all the answers, but it's heading you in the right way? You always hear from the ones who have endured the suffering and came out on top. That's because they know what it takes to fight through all the mediocrity and place themselves on a new level. The thought of ever going back to that simplistic prison scares them to death. They passionately share their stories and lay claim to never taking a day off. They are not wrong because that's how fast it happens. It doesn't matter how much effort or years you put into something. It takes one day to break the cycle and you're mentally right back in the place you started. It's real for sure, but I want you to value life for what it's really worth. If you must look down the barrel every morning to make sure you don't go back to that lonely, dark place, then you're not living either. The universe doesn't play favorites to those who just work hard. The universe demands us to be silent assassins. Silent so that we can be at peace no matter what we face, but an assassin to strike at any moment when the ability to walk away as winners. You can be defeated and knocked down, but be a warrior. Warriors know how to win even when they're losing. I've watched so many leaders fail because they couldn't put their egos to the side. Most fail to understand the value of a partnership when it focuses on using each other's talents and skills. Certain personalities will naturally try to take over, but there must be a balance. Pushing someone away and failing to use their gift is a waste of time. Without mutual respect and a willingness to compromise, we will begin to drive a wedge into each other and into the process. Even if a person knows that they don't have to dominate the personality or skill, they will begin to resent the person trying to control them. It's not complicated. You must be aware of it and appreciate how their gift can complement yours. A sincere thank you goes a long way, especially when it favors them and the team. Even if their ideas don't match yours, try not to critique everything they do, especially giving off the impression that their ideas aren't good enough because they aren't yours. As motivation to push yourself, try taking care of your partner or team as your number one priority. You're not just trying to lead them, but survive and thrive with them. You ever watch a boxing match or even a movie and the guy everyone loves just refuses to stay down? You want him to win, and every time he gets beaten down, drags himself across the ground, and then gets up, we about lose our mind. We root for these guys because we want the guy with the highest character, integrity, and loyalty to come out on top. You should want the same for the people watching you. It's okay for them to see you down or in a bad situation. They are watching and learning. What will your closest followers think? What will your enemies wish for? What will you say to yourself when you hit your low points? I'll tell you what they should say. This savage beast refuses to give up. How can you be defeated if your adrenaline pumps from fighting and outworking everyone around you? You aren't competing against them. You're competing to find your place in this life, and it should be at the top. Not to be mistaken for what society considers the top, but what the universe considers as a champion. The one who refuses to die because he always believes he still has one more thing to accomplish. This is the one who becomes a champion. The minute that it's done, he's already dreaming up the next big thing. The discipline you want to have is having your enemies know you are relentless and will never quit. We can't break him, and he just keeps coming back smarter and stronger. Make your enemies question their decisions through your consistent and driven ambition. The secret is to respect your deepest motivations and speak only about them to those who are closest to you. Usually that person is the one you've come to know inside. Having that go-to is huge for personal growth. Privacy is a gift seldom understood, so it doesn't get used effectively. Keep them guessing and wondering who you are and what you may be capable of doing next. Strength is always shown by your decisions, but how you continue to distinguish and separate yourself from everyone else should function like a clock on the wall. Each hand counts the second in unison, but you, my friend, are the reason time even exists. Without you, there is no reason to count the seconds to make sure your time is valuable and force others to respect their time with you to be the same. Ecclesiastes 3:1-8. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace.